Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast, episode 72. You are very welcome. My name is Amanda and thank you for joining me today. This is a knitting and crochet podcast and I have a few things to share with you today. And it shouldn't be very long. It'll be a relatively quick one today because I haven't got so much to show you. But I'm not making this sound very exciting, am I? But yeah, you are really welcome. So yeah, my name's Amanda, as I said, and you can find me on Instagram as Little Likac Yarn. You can find me on Ravelry as Likac66. And where else can you find me? If you want to email me, it is littlelikac@gmail.com. So what have I got for you today? I've only got one finished object, a nearly finished object, a little bit of work in progress, and a little bit of life news. Today is May the 26th. It's Sunday afternoon, about 4 p.m. The weather has been very mixed. I'm a UK podcaster, so I've always got to give you a weather update. The weather has been very mixed today, sunshine and showers. I record my podcast in my garden office at the bottom of the garden, and I have a new view out of the garden office because one of the things we did last weekend was made some changes to our garden, which included moving our greenhouse, or my greenhouse, from the top of the garden. It was near the back door, which was really useful for popping in and out of the greenhouse frequently, especially during winter time, when I used to, maybe sort of like 4 or 5 years ago, I used to grow a lot more stuff in the garden and in the greenhouse, including over the winter. Anyway, the last couple of years the greenhouse has been neglected. My husband very kindly didn't sort of try and nag me into perhaps getting rid of the greenhouse. He did maybe kind of suggest it, and then so I looked a bit upset. So instead we've moved it to the bottom of the garden. It's not a great place for it in respect it's not going to get as much sun, but we'll see. We'll see if I use it more. I have now got some tomato plants in there, some cucumber plants, which I can see from here, which is quite exciting. And then, if you see me looking that way, I'm looking at the greenhouse. Sometimes if you see me looking that way, I'm looking at squirrels. Somebody asked me if I could film the squirrels. I will do my best actually to try and get some footage of squirrels in our garden. We have a lot. And then if you see me being distracted that way, it's because I've got Stu with me. And if you don't know, if you're not a regular viewer of the podcast, Stu is my dog. He's a Shih Tzu, and sometimes he joins me for the podcast, and he's sat himself down here, but now he's kind of like shaking as if I think it's because he's hungry. I think he's now trying to suggest that he's hungry. Well, you're going to have to wait, Stu, because I haven't got any food down here, have I? So, don't know what's up with him. He's just being melodramatic. Right, okay, shall we get on with what I've got to show you? So I have got, firstly, finished object. What am I wearing? I'm wearing a finished object. It is my Floy cardigan. It does need blocking, and it really does need blocking. Although I think when I block it, it's going to be really quite big. So yeah, it needs blocking, but I finished this. I took it with me to Manchester on Friday because I had, what had I got left to do? On Friday, all I had got left to do was the teal on one of these cups. That was all I had left to do. So I don't live in Manchester, I live in Derby, but I was in Manchester for a work conference type thing. And so on Friday evening in the hotel room by myself, I finished off the sleeves, and I'd also bought the buttons. And if you want to know where I bought the buttons from, if you watch my Great British Yarn Crawl video, which will be coming out later in June, I bought the buttons at one of those shops. so then Friday night I finished off the cuff and then sewed the buttons on, and obviously then I couldn't block it. Today is Sunday. I got back from Manchester Saturday late afternoon, early evening, so not had a chance to block it. I don't know when I will block it, but yeah, it does need blocking because it just pulls in a little bit from the slip stitches. So this cardigan is the Floy cardigan. I will put a couple of photos here of it full length and me wearing it, but just bear in mind, as I say, it hasn't been blocked yet. So this is the Floy cardigan by Libby Johnson. I mentioned in my podcast last time that due to some issues, shall we say, with her political views and my political views, I won't really be saying very much else about this cardigan, this design, etc. And I usually put finished objects on Instagram and things like that. I did put a story with me wearing it, but generally speaking I won't. A couple of people contacted me and actually said that they agreed with me. They didn't agree with her. They kind of agreed. They knew a little bit about the political things I was talking about. And a few other people said they didn't know what it was, but they respected the fact that I was making a stand for my own values and views. So thank you for that. Again, I don't want to get into the politics of it because this is not a political podcast, and nor do I want it to be. But that's why I'm kind of just explaining why I'm not really saying so much about this pattern. But I do like the cardigan. I do like the cardigan. So that's it. That's all I'm saying on it. Okay, let's move on. Let's just move on. Alright, so that is the main finished object, and as I say, I don't actually want to talk about it that much. So we will move on, and instead we will talk about the Socksy and You Know It make-along. And this is the make-along that I am hosting on Ravelry. We have had lots of people joining in with that. That has been lovely, so thank you to everybody who has. I know I've not been terribly active on the Ravelry threads myself at the moment. It's just with other things that are going on, but I do try and read things and, you know, like comments and stuff like that. And my Socksy socks for May was with West Yorkshire Spinners. This colourway, which is the colourway Barbara, and it is a colourway that was designed for Yarndale, one of the Yarndale colourways. And I was using also West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in the colourway Penny Royal for the contrast heels, toes and cuffs. And I've got to say, I'm loving how this is coming out. Don't think I've got I'm just looking around, I don't think I've got a sock blocker down here. So unfortunately I can't show this in a very pretty way. But look how nicely the contrast colour has gone with this yarn. I have to say, I think I made a pretty good choice there. So yeah, this is the Penny Royal colourway, which I absolutely love. Very tempted to buy a load of it and just make a garment from this colour. But yeah, so I think it looks really lovely with the stripes on the Barbara. Just picks it up really well. So I've got all of the first sock finished, and I'm 3/4 of the way through the second sock. I am, as you can see, on the foot, and I've only got, I think, one more repeat of all the colour stripes before I will be then doing the toes. So it's the 26th of May. Aim is to have this finished by the 31st, which will not be a problem. I am knitting these on 2.5mm needles. The needles that I'm using at the moment are the Knit Pro Zing. I like Knit Pro. I particularly like the wooden needles, but I'm using the 2.5mm ones for the Socksy socks because I am just doing vanilla plain socks every time, not following any kind of textured pattern or anything like that. So therefore I am using 60 stitches rather than 64 and 2.5mm needle, which just means they knit up a tiny bit quicker, just a little bit quicker. And that way I can make sure I definitely get the pair finished each month. So that will also be the second pair of socks that I would have finished in May. If I finish these before the end of May, which hopefully I will, the other pair of socks that I will work on for a few days then will be the Prism socks that I was working on for my daughter that I started in January. So you never know, what I might even say is that I will try and carry on working on those and try and finish those before I cast on the Socksy socks for June. Maybe that is what I should do. The Socksy socks for June, the colourway is here. And I think I can see what this is, but I'm not going to say for certain because I can't remember exactly what the colourway is. But anyway, I will be opening that up in June, not before. I'm so tempted to open it today. Should I open it now anyway? See, no, I won't. I won't open it today. Give me something to look forward to in June. So I'll put that to one side. Yeah, anyway. So that will be the Socksy Socks for June. And okay. Nothing else really to tell you about the May ones other than, you know, that's the plan, to get those finished in the next few days. Right. There is another pair of socks I've been working on, which are my sort of like car socks, and I've just realised that they are in the car. Haven't got them in the house. No, definitely not got them in here. So haven't got those to show you, I am afraid. Sorry about that. A possible, are these? Yeah. So last month, the other pair of socks I made were the socks for a friend's daughter's friend's granddad, and I've got this yarn left over. I think these are going to get used with mixed in with another yarn. I think I've been accepted for a test knit. I think I have. So I'm just waiting for the details on that, and that's for a hat, and you hold 2 fingering weight yarns together, and the designer has kind of said it's a really good opportunity to use perhaps 2 yarns that you don't like or that shouldn't go together, and try holding them together and see what happens. So I think I'm going to use this. I just need to weigh it because I need about 50 grams of each yarn, and I'm not 100% sure if I've got 50 grams here or not. If not, then I'll just pop those away to add to my pile of sock scraps. I don't know. The lovely Ange from Yarn and Yarns is hosting a scrappy project make along as well, so which is about using leftovers. So I may well, if I do end up using some leftovers on that test knit, I may well enter that into that test knit. Okay, so the other thing that I've worked on quite a bit in the last 2 weeks since I last podcast is the stitch sampler shawl, I think it's called. And I'll put a picture of this here. I realised last time I didn't actually put a picture of the pattern. And I am using for this some very, very old stash of Noro Korean. I had 7 balls of this. I have used nearly all of the first 4 balls, so I've got 3 balls left, which is in this colourway, which has got this pink and greens and browns. This is very much just a pattern that I am using just to use this yarn. So this yarn has been in my stash, I think we worked it out, about 15 years. And I didn't really know what I was going to end up doing with it. I am so pleased actually that I am just using this up. I'm not in love with the yarn. I've had lots of knots, and also it's colour changing, and what's been really irritating is every time there's been a knot, it doesn't then pick up in the same colour. So if I'd been actually trying to knit something with this that I needed to actually you know, try and follow the what's the word I want, follow the colour changes, just wouldn't have been able to do it. So not overly impressed with the yarn, but I do like how it is coming up for this wrap slash shawl, which is like this. And I said last time I really didn't know what I was going to do with the finished item. Somebody suggested perhaps donating it, because I did say I might just donate it to a charity shop. But I'm actually thinking what I might do is leave it in my car as almost like a little bit of a lap blanket. Sometimes I don't particularly like driving in my coat, or if it's very cold weather I might drive in my coat, but I tend to wear dresses to work or skirts, so sometimes my legs can still feel a bit cold, especially when you first get in the car before the heater warms up, etc. So I might just have this in my car, which is something I can literally throw over my lap when I first get in the car and if it's cold and chilly, or throw it around my shoulders if I'm sort of like, anyway, cold in the car. So that might be what I do with it. I am actually really liking how it's coming up with the colours like this. So this is a free pattern, and so it's called the Stitch Sampler Shawl, so it is just, you know, different types of stitches It is knitted, not crochet, as you can see. I'm knitting it on 6mm needles, and I'm about just over halfway. So I've used almost 4, got that much left of the 4th ball out of my 7. So I am almost halfway. Just hold it up a little bit. It will need blocking. This stitch in particular is done with dropping. You wrap the yarn around the needle a few times, and then the next row you have to drop them. So it does need blocking to kind of pull those like that. So anyway, I am actually quite enjoying the process of knitting this. There's something, because every section is different and each row is set out on a chart, so I'm quite enjoying the ticking off. And you might have, I don't know, 7 or 8 rows where you've got to concentrate, and then you have about another 8 rows, 10 rows which is just all knit for garter stitch. And then so I am actually quite enjoying the process of this, even if I don't love the yarn. I've decided I am not a Noro fan. I wouldn't want to wear this next to my skin particularly. It is 100% wool, this one. So yeah, I think this will also make quite a good project for me to be working on over the next few weeks. So I think that is actually all I've got to show you for kind of what I've worked on knitting wise the last couple of weeks. There have been a few other things I've done. So I mentioned the yarn crawl, so that's all going to be in a separate video, so look out for that, because that will come out at some point in June. And then also last weekend I went to the Buxton wool gathering, and again in my last podcast I'd said to you guys, would you like me to video it? And quite a few of you did respond to that saying yes please. So I have filmed that. And again, that's going to be going up as a separate video. And the reason why I'm saving these, I've got to do a little bit more filming this afternoon actually. After I finish filming this, I'm going to film a little bit more on those 2 videos. And then that will be it for me filming probably for about the next 4 weeks at least. So I had to make sure that I got some content to put up. So yeah. For those of you that don't know much about me, I am hello Stu. I am an English teacher full-time, and as part of that as well, I am also a GCSE examiner. So the next 4 weeks, all my spare time when I'm not teaching, all my spare time will be used marking exam papers. And when I say all my spare time, that usually is till about 9 o'clock most evenings. And then after 9 o'clock, I go back into the house and I sit there in front of the TV watching probably something trashy and something that doesn't need. Actually, I've been saving up Bridgerton. I've not watched any of the new series of Bridgerton yet, because that's going to be my treat. I will go back into the house. I will knit on something that doesn't take any brain power, and I will watch an episode of Bridgerton and then probably go to bed. Then get up, go to work, come home, exam mark. Because that's the only way you get through the exam papers. And obviously it is quite intense, and it's really important that I stay really, really focused when I'm marking exams, which means my brain just goes to jelly if I try and think about anything else. So it might seem daft, but even if I have the time to actually film a podcast, it's the editing of it. I can remember last year I filmed something, and then just trying to edit it was just, my brain was just like, nah, not doing that. So that's why I have attempted this time. I think I'm gonna have to let the dog out. Hang on a minute. Right, I've let the dog out. He's now just sort of sitting there on the patio outside the door. Anyway, so yeah, so that is why there won't be anything in the next couple of weeks that's up to date, particularly from a video point of view. So please forgive me for that. I'm sure you will. You usually do. And the next draw that we do for the Socksy make along will be at the beginning of July, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's just how it's going to be for those few weeks. So yes, so thank you for joining me today. Told you it was going to be a short one, but do look out for those other couple of videos, and yeah, happy knitting everybody. Bye.